Good morning and welcome to Trail Grazers, where we focus on great food for the trail. Except today, we're going to talk about our hike, which did not happen, and we had great food planned. So as you see, I'm ready for a hike, and we had the best time the night before just planning exactly what we were going to do, what food we were going to take, and we forgot to check the weather because that night it just rained and poured and all the next day and all yesterday, and so we were not able to get to our hike. But what we do want to do is to share with you how we prepare to go on a hike, because we think that is also as important as the food, if not more so, because it has a lot to do with safety. I have been taking groups out into the field for hiking and scientific study for the past 25 years. And so I have a lot of experience being out in the wild in various locations. We've been to the tide pools on the Oregon coast. We've been out in the Great Basin. When I lived elsewhere, I would bring groups here to Zion National Park, and we would be out in the wilderness areas all around. And we have been very blessed that nothing bad has ever happened, nothing seriously bad. We've had some scrapes and that kind of thing, but no rattlesnake bites, even though several times we did happen upon rattlesnakes. And so I want to share with you some of the safety things that we do and how I prepare to go on a hike. And also how Jim prepares, because he also has a day pack like mine. And so that's how we're going to approach this video. One of the first things to consider is an individual person's capabilities physically and mentally about being out in the open for a period of time, and what limitations an individual person may have. I have more limitations now than I did 25 years ago, and so I pack accordingly. I love to be out. I can no longer do those marathon hikes. I'm good for a mile, maybe 2 miles out and back, and that is it. The hike that we planned to do, and that we hope, I think our rain is about over. It's still cloudy out there, but we need 2 or 3 days of drying time where we're going to go, because one of the little narrow places where we have to go, my truck, in order to be safe, the ground has to be pretty dry, because one side is a sheer drop-off, and there's the relic of an old car that slipped off and fell over, so I don't want to add to that collection. In any case, what we were going to do is to go to the top of Dalton Wash, the hiking trail that starts way up there. It's right towards Zion, right behind West Temple. It is gorgeous. I have wonderful experiences up there, and I have taken groups of teachers up there to study science. The cool thing is that there are ephemeral pools up there, ephemeral meaning temporary. When it rains, those pools fill up. They're just depressions in the sandstone up there. Within just a couple of days, those pools are just filled with all kinds of life. Very interesting life. And so I wanted to go up there, check out those ephemeral pools, and kind of share with you some of the adventures that we have had up there. And on one of the group trips that I took up there, we did find a rattlesnake. When we find rattlesnakes in the field, we just skirt them. We don't kill them. We don't mess with them. And I can tell you a little bit about rattlesnake safety sometime if you want to know too. So I have my backpack on. And last time we were up at Bryce with our four-wheelers and our trailer, Jim needed a new Camelback. A Camelback is a particular brand of backpack that has a water reservoir. And I am now very susceptible. Everywhere I go, I need to carry water, especially here in the desert. And so I always, even if I'm just out of the car, not very far from the car, but doing some hiking nearby, I always take my Camelback because I have water. And I just unclip this, put this in my mouth and suck, and I've got water. I also dress for safety. Jim and I were talking yesterday about the family once when we were camping at Moab, and we had our four-wheelers out in quite a remote area looking at a canyon. And we heard another family coming in, and they were on 2 four-wheelers. And those four-wheelers were just loaded with people. Jim, what would you think, 7 people?
7 or 8 people.
Yeah, 7 or 8 people on 2 four-wheelers, a lot of little children they were hanging on. And Jim and I were both really concerned about their safety. If anything mechanical would have happened to those four-wheelers, those people would be out there stranded until someone else came along. And they were dressed in shorts and flip-flops and sleeveless shirts. And the sun, it was over 100 degrees. It's so hot in Moab. It's very dangerous. And so all the time, wherever we go, we see people who are not dressed appropriately. And many of them make it through just absolutely fine. Especially around here, it's so hot. And in Zion a lot, we see people on the hiking trails in flip-flops. Regardless of where I go, this is what I wear. I wear ankle support hiking boots, and I have for years closed toes. Whenever I took trips into the field, one of our rules, and my staff and I agreed on a set of rules and principles for how you dress when you go into the field. And one of them is closed-toed shoes. And the reason for that is because a lot of times we were in the desert. There are snakes, there are all kinds of centipedes and scorpions and things that live down on the ground, and your feet are very susceptible to that. So I always wear good support and moisture wicking socks. These happen to be from REI. The other thing that I take now especially is my walking stick. And these are little patches, well, they're little metal, whatever these are, medallions, things of the various places that I have hiked over the years. This is a yucca stick, and it was made for me as a gift, and I have used it for years and years. It is the sturdiest thing, and so I just love, and this has helped me many times, particularly when we hike the Narrows. We go up from the bottom, part way up when we have guests, and this works great in the Narrows. The Narrows is when we go actually in the river, in the Virgin River, walking upstream up to very narrow places in Zion Canyon. Then the other thing, of course, is first aid. Now, this happens to be an emergency kit from van number 5 from when I was outfitting vans to go into the field with, so this is, gosh, Jim, this has got to be 10 years old. But most of the things in here are Band-Aids and things like that, so everything is fine. This is what we keep in our car. And so in our backpack, we have a little safety backpack. So I'm going to just quickly unpack my backpack, and I'm going to show you what I carry with me when I go. Now, this hike that we were going to take, we would park my truck, and actually the fun thing is that I was going to drive and Jim was going to do the videoing because we haven't ever done that arrangement before, so it was going to be a quick, a fun switch around. So I always travel with a hat. I'm a redhead, and so I wear this hat that has this extension down the back of my neck to help me avoid sunburn. Now, one thing that I want to do, let me get everything out. I think that's going to be the best way. So this is everything that I have in my bag. I don't have any food in here because we didn't go, but I would also have a snack pack that I always carry with me, even though for these little hikes that we go on, we have our main meal that is left in the car. Now, this is what a Camelback actually looks like on the inside. It has this reservoir. Mine holds about 2 liters of water. And so I just fill this up, and then sometimes I put ice in it, but usually not. It just needs to be wet most of the time. And since Jim got a new one at Bryce, I found this one, and this one is the most comfortable one I have ever had, and I really do like it. It's called Air Support Camelback. So I'm going to set it aside. And here's the stuff that's on the inside, minus my little food snack bag. So I have a list right here. I thought, I wonder how what I carry compares with nationally approved, not nationally, but organizations. There's lots of hiking organizations, and they publish lists, and there's a top 10 list. So I'm going to run down that top 10 list and see if I had everything I needed. Now, for this hike, we were going to park my truck, get out, and then we were going to just roam around. And it's an area about the size of a football field where all those ephemeral pools are. And we will be going on that hike as soon as it dries out up there, and we'll take you with us when we go. And so we were not more than about 100 yards from the car. So knowing that, I packed in a different way than I would if I were going to be hiking 2 or 3 miles into the forest or whatever. So here is a list of their top 10, and this is by the Wilderness Association or something. So you need something for navigation, map, compass, altimeter, GPS device, or whatever. And I have this little, it's a whistle. I'm not going to blow it because it's really shrill and it hurts my ears. It has a little compass. It has a little thermometer on the back. It's very inexpensive. We have GPS units that we also could take if we were being more serious. But for where we were going to be on our hike yesterday, this would work just fine. Next is a headlamp. We do have really nice headlamps, but they're packed away. But I do always carry a really nice flashlight with me, and notice, of course, that it is red.
I wonder why about that.
So I can find it easy in my pack. Then sun protection. So I have my hat. I have, yes, and so this is sunscreen. And this is actually 100 sunscreen, 100%, 100% protection. It's a broad spectrum with an SPF of 100. And with my light complexion, I always put on sunscreen, or almost all the time put on sunscreen. And then I have my dark glasses as well that I have. So a first aid kit, I've got this in the car, plus I have this little mini first aid kit that has some things in it. And then I've augmented that by some other things. I just have some more Band-Aids and some alcohol wipes, a big piece of gauze. And then in here is a little bit more. I have some tissue in here. I have some cortisone. I have triple antibiotic ointment, and then I have some bug repellent wipes, and I also have bug repellent right here as well. Most of the time I don't like spraying that stuff on me, but sometimes the no-see-ums are so terrible that I resort to that. So all my first aid stuff is right there. Then I have a knife. This is my knife. I love this knife. If I could just figure out how to get it. Oh, I know, I've locked the blade in place. So I just love this little knife. It's a small knife, and I really depend on Jim because he has a much nicer big knife. But that's my knife. Shelter, so you always carry something to shelter with. I have this emergency bag. You just pull this out, it wraps around your whole body, and so that is my shelter. Extra food, yes, I don't have it here, but we always have, when we're just walking, doing a little walkabout, and we're fairly close to the truck or the vehicle, we keep our main food there. But I always carry a snack pack, and this time our little peach tree just produced some peaches, and so I freeze-dried those peaches. And so I was planning to prepare a snack bag of some of those freeze-dried peaches and some nuts. And that was going to be my backpack snack bag. Extra water, I have my Camelback, so I'm good there. Extra clothing, I put in an extra pair of socks always. And within the first aid kit, I carry moleskin, which is good for blisters, but I rarely get blisters because these shoes are very comfortable. And then extra clothes. I don't pack extra clothes, just those extra socks is all. So that's their top 10. Now I've added 2 things to that. I carry a bathroom pack everywhere I go. I carry one on our 4-wheeler, I carry one in the car, I carry one in my backpack. So I always have a little kit in case I need to use the restroom out in the wild. And I've traveled with women who think that they can hold it all day long when we're out in the field, and they soon learn that they also need to pack a little bathroom pack. And this has toilet tissues in it and wipes. And then one of the most important things that it has in it is a lot of little extra bags to take the used toilet paper out of the wilderness. A lot of people say, oh, I just bury it. I don't. And the reason is because, yes, you may bury it and it may stay buried for a little while, but animals will get into that. They sniff it out and then tear it to pieces, and it is not good for them, and it is certainly not good for the environment. So pack it in, pack it out. So we take our toilet paper with us, and I have a little roll of toilet paper that I've squished right here. So this is my bathroom bag. One thing that I didn't show was a fire starter. I think Jim's going to talk a little bit more about that, so I'll leave that for him. And then, of course, the other thing, the two things that I've added were my bathroom kit and then my walking stick that I've already talked about. So now, Jim and I are going to trade places. I'm going to get behind the camera, wish me luck, and he's going to come and unpack his bag and show you what he's got.
So my bunch of things that I wear, since I'm bald, I always wear a hat.
Such a lovely hat.
Yes, I like it too. And one of the things I do is if I don't wear a hat, then the possibility of getting burned and that kind of thing is there. So let's go back over. I do have the backpack, and with the backpack, I've got the water reserve, and we always have those. And a number of things that I get, I always take gloves with me, because if I go up a rough surface, I'm going to need something to protect my hands. Pam had the coverall for tinfoil type of stuff, and that'll help keep us dry or warm. The shelter for shelter, okay. And I also have a whistle, and the whistle has the compass on it. It also has the temperature on the back of it, a thermometer in the back of it. And one of the reasons that I suggested a whistle is that if you're out in the wild, you get lost or you get hurt, using your voice, you can only use your voice so long before you go hoarse. But you can do that and people will hear you at quite a distance. With that, I have a little knife with a razor blade in case I need to use that. I also have a couple of others. I have a Boy Scout type of knife that has various tools, screwdriver, pliers, blades, those kinds of things. The screwdriver also includes a regular flathead as well as a Phillips head screwdriver in case of it may come in handy for problems with the car. And just folding it back up. And with that, I can just go ahead and put it on my belt loop. Also have a Gerber knife that I wear. Again, if I run into problems, I run into bears or something like that, Davy Crockett and whatever else. Also have matches, and these are waterproof matches. And I can use those. There's also a strike plate that comes with this. And the strike plate is fairly small, but it will do the same thing. Again, it will help strike. And with that, we also have a fire disc. And you can start this and let it go by itself, or you can break it into small pieces and use it that way. These kit that Pam has, I also have one. I also have, again, in case something happens, and it's basically Band-Aids, gauze, those kinds of things, alcohol wipes and so on, and a single razor blade. And whenever I'm involved in hiking, I always wear boots. I have square toe harness boots that I wear, and extra socks, sometimes extra shirts, kind of depending upon what happens. I sweat like a dog out there when I'm hiking, so I probably would get back and put on another shirt. Also, paper and pencils in case I get lost or I have an idea that I want to write down, that kind of thing. Also have our phones, and again, if we're out of range for the phones, what we can do is, again, go back to the idea of where is for the compass. and we can figure out some idea of where our direction is and attempt to retrace our steps. And that's about it.
So we were really looking forward to going up Dalton Wash and doing our walkabout for an hour or so and showing you all those things. And we will be doing that hopefully this week. Drier weather is ahead. After we've had 3 or 4 days of dry weather, we'll head up there and watch for our video that says Dalton Wash Hike. And that will be when we show the ephemeral pools, or at least we will check to see if there are any left after these rains that we have had. So I hope this was useful to you. Everyone's needs when you go hiking are very different. Our rigorous hiking days are over. We do more the type of hikes where we can just walk a little bit leisurely. But even then you need to be prepared to take care of any immediate needs that you might have. Since I have had a heat stroke in my prior experience, I have to be especially careful about the sun and having adequate water. So thank you so much for being with us with this adventure, and we will see you soon on the trail, we hope.